Arts. This is episode 8, Planning for the Race. I'm your host, Josh. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to talk about the drop bag and preparing for the race on race day. And just wanted to discuss the run last week. So I used the water pack for the first time. I don't like water packs, but in my race, it requires it. So I had to use it. I would recommend using it maybe a couple of weeks before I did, because apparently 4 pounds does take a toll on your feet and your knees after 23 miles. So yeah, I was really sore with my feet and my knees, and my back kind of hurt. You know, I have a water pack, just like it's like a backpack, and it has like a straw where you drink the water. So yeah, it did definitely hurt, but definitely got used to it in a sense. It is kind of annoying having the water splashing every which way, and you hear that. So that's pretty annoying. I guess I just don't like the extra weight. That's one of the main reasons that I don't like the water packs. But I would say I had, I guess, one of my best long runs in a sense that I wasn't as tired or dehydrated as I usually am coming into the 15th. After the 15th mile is usually when things start going bad. So that was a little bit better, but my feet were hurting a little bit more, and it doesn't weigh that much. We're talking about 4 pounds at the most. With the water, if you did a liter of water, that weighs like 2 pounds, right? And then the bag and all your other stuff probably weighs a pound and a half, with your food and stuff. So but sometimes you like marathons because they have lots of aid stations, which is nice. Sometimes I feel like the ultras, there's not as many aid stations as you get in a marathon. They're farther apart. But fortunately, my race, I think the toughest ones are going to be 6 miles apart. So you definitely want some water, because the one I'm going to be in, it's going to be like 90 degrees, 95 degrees, so it's going to be really hot. And you don't have to fill your water bag up, all the way full. You can refill it at the aid stations once you get to the aid stations. So and I used a different kind of Gatorade. I used Gatorade, but with sugar in it. Not too much sugar, but it wasn't the zero stuff that I used before, and that was a little bit better. I didn't feel instantly tired and worn out as I did when I used the zero sugar stuff. So that was better. If you Google, how much water you need in an hour, usually they'll say, about a liter if you're running. And you might need more than that if it's really hot outside, or less than that if it's, really cold outside and you're not not running too too hard, I guess, if you're in a really comfortable state. So I mean, you just trial and error, right? So, and that's what your training's for, you know. It's for you to find out what's best, and then put it all together on race day. So um but I filled my, I tried to drink every 20 minutes, and I tried to eat every hour, um and I feel like that worked for me. You know, you just want to have um plenty of water. Make sure you're drinking the water, but you know, you can't just drink water. You have to have some salt in it. So electrolytes, sodium. Um, so you want to make sure you get plenty of that. And you need to test what works for your body, you know, during training. So um, hopefully you're getting close to putting it all together before race day. Um, the drop bag. So if you're looking, you need to make sure that you look at the race, and uh, make sure you know all the rules of the race. You know what you can bring, what you have to bring. You know, with my race, it has no cups, so I have to bring a cup. I also have to wear a water pack. So these are the requirements. If you don't have those things, then you can't race. So just make sure you look at the race instructions. I know this stuff is common sense, but sometimes it can be overlooked. So yeah, and there's gonna be different things at the aid stations. You know, like food. I would just stick to what you've been doing in training. You know, if you bring your own food, that's great. One of the great things about signing up for these races, and you know, sometimes why you sign up is because you pay for the aid stations to have the convenience of food, so you don't have to carry. So if you see that they're having stuff on the aid station, then you can just go ahead and plan to eat there instead of eating what you've been doing during your training. But you could plan for the worst, which is when you get to the aid station, they had to substitute food because it's all been eaten, or they have something that they didn't say that they were going to have because all the other food is gone by the time you get there. So yeah, sometimes things don't go to plan. So I would say if you're making your drop bag, you could put some food in it. You can put some drinks in it. You should probably put an extra pair of shoes, extra pair of socks, extra pair of shorts, extra pair of a shirt. Just because, I mean, definitely if you know it's going to be raining, you can always switch out your stuff in your drop bag if it's raining, and then you'll have dry clothes for the second half of the race, or wherever the drop bag is. And you could have multiple drop bags if you're doing a really far race. You know, sometimes they have one or two or even three. So but you don't want to overpack that drop bag. You know, you're not taking your whole house, right? Just some stuff and an emergency. You know, you can put some Advil in it, or you know, some medication. You can pack, you know, icy hot or something that's gonna help your muscles. If you're not feeling too good out there, then you have it, you know, for the next half of the race, or you know, whenever the drop bag is, I guess. So I would say yes, do that. I mean, you've been training. You probably know the race. I hope that you were able to do some long runs with, running in the elements and the heat, running if you got to run a little bit in the rain so you could feel what that felt right. We talked about that in some earlier episodes. So hopefully you were able to do that. So that way you're prepared for anything that could happen on race day. Okay. So and just, I mean, if we're talking about race day, it's going to be one of your hardest runs. It's not going to be easy. So, and most runners, it's going to be the longest that they'll run up to the date. So, and that's going to be for me as well. So, the farthest I'm going to run is going to be 26 miles. And on race day, I plan to go 32. So, yeah, it's going to be one of the hardest races. So it's not going to be easy. You're going to get punched in the mouth. Probably. Things could happen that you're unprepared with, and you just got to keep going. It is a fine line to say, well, should I keep going, or should I run through this injury, or should I keep going? Should I stop? And that's up to you. I think in most cases, if you go to the aid stations, you can ask them. But, I don't know. But, it's going to be tough, but just, get your mind focused and be ready for, worst case scenarios. So, but, let's get back to the drop bag. So, yeah, I would pack, water, food, change of clothes, including shoes, and just a little bit of some medication. I think on race day they'll have first aid stuff, but I mean, you could pack some first aid stuff. If you know it's gonna rain, you can pack some you can pack some, like a small rain jacket, or if you know it's gonna rain like in 4 hours or 5 hours in your race, and when the drop bag is, you could pack those in your drop bag, plan for the elements when they're gonna happen. That way you don't have to carry it until you get to the drop bag. You could do that and then change real quick. But you definitely want to have your drop bag organized, so it's easy to grab stuff. You think about it now and you think, oh, why do I need to organize? I'll just get it. But when you're out there, you could be really, really tired, and it just might be really hard for you to find something when you're really tired. So I would say try your best to organize. And yeah, I mean, if you're running 100-miler, I mean, that could be like 14 hours. So you got a lot of stuff to pack. I mean, but since we're only doing a 50K, I guess we'll just talk about that. But yeah, these longer races, you you could be out there for like a day or two. So definitely your drop bags will be something different, you know, whether it's you plan to sleep, you know, for the night out there, or I don't know, but maybe we'll talk about that in another episode, or another season, I guess. So, but yeah, for these shorter ultras, you know, your drop bags, if we're just talking about like a 50 miler, or maybe 60 miler, or 40 miler, or 30 miler, yeah, you probably just have the one drop bag, and hopefully you get done with it within you know, 6 to 10 hours. And if that's the case, then you know, you don't have to worry about packing sleeping bags or something like that, you know, to sleep overnight. But yeah, change your clothes, food, drink, medication. I would recommend Icy Hot. That stuff's pretty good. Okay, trying to think of anything else that you could put in the drop bag. But yeah, I mean, you could pack some electronics. You know, when I did the 100K, what happened to me is, my watch and all my electronics, they all died because it was so long, and the battery on those things, you know, they only last for like, you know, 6-7 hours, or maybe even 5 hours. So you could pack some, if you had 2 of the Garmin watches, or whatever watch you have, if it's Apple or Samsung, but pack an extra one, because your watch could die while you're out there. The other thing is, your music, if you're listening to music, that could die as well. You could pack an extra music device so you have it. Or if you're planning on taking pictures, you can do that. You can also pack your phone in your drop bag. But that's risky. You know, sometimes they could lose your drop bag. So that's kind of a tough one. I don't know if I would put my phone in the drop bag, because you don't want to lose your phone, because you definitely want that at the end of the race, for sure. So, but if you're okay with losing your stuff, but yeah, I would, you know, pack an extra pair of headphones, maybe an extra pair of your electronic device for the music, and an extra watch, unless you have one of those the solo watches. I think they charge from the sun. But sometimes, I mean, if you're racing in these races and you're in I guess shaded area, you know, if you're running in the mountains, maybe it's not going to be charging. So yeah, definitely think about your electronics, and plan accordingly. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and